Fitness isn't just about looking good, it's about performing at your best. So you wake up, you roll out of bed, and head straight to your desk. You code, you debug, you have meetings, and then maybe you code some more. What about lunchtime? Do you grab whatever's quick? Maybe a bag of chips, a soda, while you fix a bug? Now, before you know it, it's 10 p.m., your back's stiff, your neck hurts, and then you realize that you haven't even moved all day. Does that sound familiar? Well, this used to happen to me until I found a way to stay fit without sacrificing my work. So in this video, I'm going to show you some simple and time-efficient workouts and even some diet hacks that I do throughout my day and that may fit into your schedule in order to stay fit. All right, so before we dive into some of those fitness hacks, let's get into the problem. And the problem is that in the tech industry, in the finance industry, we're constantly at our desks. So although they may be pretty good jobs and very convenient, it's also pretty bad for our health. And I'm going to list out some of the problems that cause this. The first is that sitting all day wrecks your posture. It actually causes you to get weaker on your back. It also causes issues with your lower back as well as your legs, and it can lead to some atrophy in some parts of your body. And with that, you're also going to have reduced energy levels. With reduced energy levels, that means that you're going to be very sluggish at work. You're not going to be able to give it your all or 100% while you're there because you're constantly feeling low energy. The other problem is that deadlines and stress make workouts and eating healthy the last thing on your mind. I mean, let's be honest, with our jobs, we have constant deadlines that come up. We also have features that need to be made. Sometimes the project changes on a whim and we have to pivot. And with that, it could lead to a ton of stress, and it may have us reaching for not the healthy food options if we're being honest. And also, junk food is convenient, but just know that junk food drains your energy and it drains your focus. Junk food is what I consider empty calories. And if you're not eating empty calories, maybe you're eating something sugary, that's going to zap a ton of energy from you. As soon as you get an insulin spike, you're going to feel a crash. So these are the problems, and we need to acknowledge that skipping exercise and making poor food choices only makes things worse. So in this video, we're going to fix that. Okay, but why exactly does exercise even matter, especially for us software engineers? And it's not just that we're working out and, making ourselves look better. It's just that we're going to feel better and we're going to be more productive. So regular movement reduces burnout and chronic pain. So like I mentioned before, when you're working out, when you're moving, you're going to feel less lower back pain, especially for us people that sit often. And you're also going to feel better because working out for some reason is this magical thing. If we could bottle it up and put it into a pill, everyone would be doing it. It just helps us feel better, and it keeps at least our hormones and our bodies in better function throughout the day. The second thing is that exercise improves focus and memory and problem-solving skills. I've noticed that when I go a week or two without moving, or when I'm really focused on solving a problem, I notice that my problem-solving skills lack, and I have trouble focusing, and my memory isn't really all that great. So one of the things that exercise does is that it helps with blood flow, it helps you keep a much more healthy brain, and it also helps you with your posture, so you're breathing better. And overall, I think it's just an important part of being alive. And I also mentioned I'm not a scientist or a biologist or a doctor. I'm just going off based off what I feel and the things that I've seen throughout my experience. So the third thing is that better food choices give you more sustained energy instead of midday crashes. So one thing I've noticed is that if I'm eating vegetables throughout the day, say broccoli or carrots and maybe some choice of protein, I actually feel much better throughout the day and much more full because it's much more satiating. But if I go and grab, say, a bag of chips or maybe even the cookies just because I'm craving it and maybe I'm a little stressed out, I find myself being much more sapped in terms of energy, and it makes it even harder for me to get concentrated. And now lastly, you're gonna feel less stressed and you're gonna sleep better and even write better code. So it's almost like this compounding effect as you're exercising, as you're eating better, you're going to feel less stressed, you're going to sleep better, and you're going to code better. So it's like, why not do all this stuff? So the key to doing this is time-efficient workouts and small diet tweaks that all make a big impact. So now we're going to dive into some of the things that I do in order to stay fit throughout the day. And that is that I integrate exercise into my day. I know that by the end of the day, I'm going to be super tired. And one of the best things that I can do in order to stay motivated is by integrating small little workouts throughout the day, whether it's doing push-ups or taking a walk. We're going to dive into some of those things that I do. So the first thing is that I do take walks throughout the day. So if I have a 30-minute slot in between some meetings and I notice that I've been sitting for a while, I'll literally just leave my desk, go for a walk. I have Slack on my phone. I can message people while I'm away, and it keeps my mind busy and invigorated so that I feel better throughout the day. One thing that you can also do is that you can take calls while you're moving. So I'm sure there's been some meetings where you don't necessarily need to have your camera on, especially for those that work from home. So maybe you could take a walking meeting. And another thing that I like to do in the office is I'll ask someone if they're okay even taking a meeting on a different floor. We'll take the stairs down, maybe take the stairs back up, and that way I'm getting movement throughout the day. So that leads me to my second point, which is that I always take the stairs instead of the elevator. Unless I'm going maybe 10 or 13 flights, then I may opt for the elevator, but most of the time, I always take the stairs in order to keep my body burning calories. I mean, this is one of the easiest things you could do. I know it's always not the thing in a situation, and maybe, you don't want to take the stairs, maybe you're tired, but I would say push yourself to do it. I do it all the time, and I found massive benefits in doing so. And now another hack, and I mean, this has become mainstream, especially after the pandemic, and I think even most offices have this, is just get a standing desk. I mean, I've seen multiple people at my office, they have standing desks and not a lot of them use it. I use my standing desk. I have one here at home. I also have one in the office, and I constantly use it. I would say I stand probably the majority of the day, and it keeps my mind healthy, invigorated, and I can think clearly. Sometimes I find myself seated, especially if I'm coding on something, if I feel a little tired. I mean, I'm not always 100%. And I've noticed that when I'm sitting all day, I feel lethargic and I have trouble concentrating. So these small changes are going to equal big results. So I urge you to try them. Now, another thing that I do is that I work out on the go. And I know some people may not have access to a gym. So for those of you that don't have access to a gym, maybe you have access to a park, or maybe if you're working out of a hotel room or the office, maybe there's some space, some private space that you can maybe get a quick 5-minute or even a 10-minute workout in. And one of the things that I love to do is I'll throw on a YouTube video and just follow it, even if it's a 5-minute routine that I can do, whether it's push-ups or maybe even some planks, some core exercises, or anything that I could do that'll take me 5-10 minutes in between a call, in between a meeting, even while I'm coding. If I take a break, I find myself just feeling much better. And this next point is something I do all the time, is I take walks throughout the day. I mean, this hack, if you do this one thing, just one takeaway is take walks. Take walks and just go for 30 minutes if you can, or even 15 minutes, just take small walks. And if you're working from home, every 20, 30, maybe 45 minutes, I'll take a lap around the apartment. Maybe I'll step out of the apartment and, go down the stairs and come back and just move around. And this little hack will burn a ton of calories throughout the day, and it'll help you stay fit and lose weight, which is great. So now I'm going to dive into some quick and effective workouts that you can do, at least the ones that I do, that don't require a gym. And one of the first things that I love to do throughout the day is I'll do a 10-minute HIIT workout or high intensity interval training workout. And a lot of these workouts involve squats and push-ups and jumping jacks, and they can be done right in one area. You can even spend time just doing a ton of planks and push-ups on your own. You don't necessarily have to follow a video if you don't want to. And this will shoot your heart rate up, burn a ton of calories, and keep you fit. And again, it's the best thing is that you don't need to drive or walk to a gym. You could do it at the comfort of your own home. And if you're in an office, if you have a small space where you can do this, if there's a private space, you can even get away with doing even smaller exercise movements like push-ups and squats. And I mean, if you're bold and you want to do it at your desk, go ahead and do it. I'm sure, those people may want to join you as well. And with that, you can do some body weight routines, like I mentioned, which are planks and lunges and dips, and you don't need any equipment. You can just move around in your area and just get in as much fitness as you can. I mean, I'm sure we've had 5 minutes where we're scrolling on our phones, and instead of doing that, maybe we can just spend some time doing some of these movements in order to burn calories and stay fit. I'm sure if you have a minute after every hour at work and you spent that 1 minute doing jumping jacks, you'll feel so much better by the end of the day. And it's a very little sneaky way to add in movement and fitness throughout your day. And one last thing that I like to do is stretch. So whether I'm stretching, overhead, or maybe stretching my lower body, my legs. I mean, I even do this while at my desk. I do this while I'm working at home or working in the office. I'll stretch my legs. I'll make sure I get a hamstring stretch, or even a back stretch, or maybe an arm stretch. And I've noticed that this helps me reduce stiffness and improves my posture, and it even helps reduce some stress from being at work. So even these small little movements that you do will keep you a little more nimble and a little more excited to be working on whatever project it is that you're working on. Okay, so all this movement, all this exercise is fantastic for you. It's great for you. But there's an even better thing that you can do, and that is your diet. I mean, exercise accounts for a very small portion of that. It's very important that we move. It's important that we sweat. It's important that we're getting activity throughout the day. However, you can't outwork a bad diet. So one thing that I like to do is I play a little swap this for that. And I keep this in my mind, especially if I'm in the office or if I'm at home, and it's easy to grab those treats and those sweets and the chips. Instead, I'll grab a even healthier option. So I'm going to go through the list of stuff that I like to do in order to stay healthy. So the first thing is I don't keep any junk food in the apartment. I don't keep any chips. I don't keep cookies, none of that in the apartment. Instead, I'll opt for more whole food choices like eggs and broccoli and chicken and carrots. And sometimes I'll have the occasional takeout, but I try to keep the junk food out. That way I'm not tempted to eat it. So if it's not in the apartment, it just makes it even tougher for me to get to it. So for example, instead of having chips, I'll have eggs, and it has more protein and it's going to keep you full for longer. And overall, you're going to have much more satisfaction. The second thing is I like to have water or seltzer instead of soda. I mean, this saves hundreds and hundreds of calories throughout the day. I think that 1 can of Coke or 1 can of Pepsi has like 33 or 34 grams of sugar, which is insane. It's a ton of calories and you don't necessarily need it. I mean, water and seltzer, you could get flavored seltzer, which is great and it tastes awesome. And you're not getting the calories with it. So opt for the healthier choice. And with that, you're going to feel so much better throughout the day. And now the third thing is that I tend to opt for more lean proteins and fiber instead of processed snacks. So in the office, we do have chips, we do have bars, we do have, very sugary drinks. And I tend to just avoid it altogether. Even though it's there, I tend to not eat it because I know that it's going to make me feel, a little worse than I do when I'm a little stressed out. So I tend to opt for lean proteins. And one way that I do that is, yes, I meal prep if I, am feeling up for it, or otherwise for lunch, I may opt for getting a salad, or maybe I'll get a chicken bowl or a fish bowl or something. And instead of rice, I'll do some veg instead, and that helps me feel so much better with more sustained energy throughout the day. So you've probably heard this before. I'm just going to repeat it. And these are some easy wins that you can do in order to have a much healthier diet. I'm going to tell you exactly what I do. It's I prioritize protein. So I will have protein shakes, and my protein shakes have no sugar. I'll leave a link down below for the ones that I use. And no, I'm not sponsored in any way. It helps keep myself full. I'll hit my protein macros, and overall, my body just feels so much better. Another thing I like to do is that I add healthy fats like nuts and avocados, and it's great for brain function. I feel so much better when I'm eating like that. Third is I like to have a diversity of fruits and vegetables. So I'll have some frozen berries, strawberries, spinach, kale, just a bunch of stuff in the freezer, and I'll just throw in and make a shake, and I feel so much better when I have these shakes. So the more diversity of like the whole foods that you have throughout the day, the better you'll feel. As long as you get the junk food out, and you treat yourself to like a burger and fries once a week or once every 2 weeks, it's going to be totally fine. I mean, this past Saturday, I just had a burger and fries, and it's going to be okay, but it has to be in moderation. And now this last hack is one that's even more important. And if there's one takeaway, it's this. It's that you need to stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can wreck your focus. So keep a bottle of water with you at all times. Try to sip it throughout the day instead of just drinking in one shot. Just sip it throughout the day. I mean, keep going back to your fridge for more water, or buy a bottle of water, but just make sure that you're staying hydrated. This is going to keep you in focus, and as well as if you're working out, you're going to sweat as well, and you don't want to be dehydrated. I've also noticed that when I'm dehydrated, I actually feel a little hungrier. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Stay hydrated, you're going to feel full, and you're also going to be able to focus for a longer time. All right, so if you're really serious about making fitness and eating healthy part of your routine, then I'm going to have a couple of things that you may want to do, and this is something that I have added to my routine. And that is that I schedule workouts like meetings. I mean, I just make it a non-negotiable. I try to hit the gym, whether it's for 30 minutes or an hour. I try to go at least 4 to 6 times a week, depending on how busy I am. So I'll incorporate movement throughout the day, but again, the gym is part of my routine now, and I've scheduled it, and I usually try to do, like I said, about 30 minutes to 45, maybe an hour, depending on it, and it just keeps me motivated. If I go any longer than that, trust me that I'll skip the next day or even 2 to 3 days just because I'm going to be so sore. So I try not to overwork myself, and I just try to fit it into my routine. The second thing I do is that, I found someone to keep me accountable, and that's my girlfriend. I mean, find someone that's going to hold you accountable for your goals, and you may push yourself to do so. So we do live together, and one thing that we try to do is keep the junk food out of the apartment. That way we're not tempted to eat it. We also try to meal prep ahead of time, whether it's a couple meals for the week. They have veggies, they also have protein, and we make sure that we're getting that throughout the day. And thirdly, I celebrate the wins, and I think this is something that you should do too. If you make improvements to your health and you find that you're sticking to it, great. Be happy about it. I mean, these small improvements matter, and celebrating them will keep you more accountable, and it's going to just keep the process more enjoyable. I mean, you have to have fun. It's a short life, so we have to make sure that we're enjoying what we're doing. All right, so fitness isn't just about looking good. It's about performing at your best. So if you learned anything today, it's to make exercise and smarter eating habits, and you're going to see massive benefits in your energy, your focus, and your career growth. So I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me, what is your biggest struggle with staying fit as a software engineer? Let's have a conversation about it. I want to know what the biggest struggles are, whether it is not eating healthy or moving around. Let's have a conversation, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.